I played in Villanova at Villanova University. I was directing a chess tournament there, but there was an odd number of people for a couple of rounds, so I played a couple of rounds. And in the first round, I played against Jason. He's 400 points lower rated than me, and he arrived like 10 minutes late. So maybe he's not settled in. Maybe he's not, in the right mindset. So I got to take him down while he's distracted. But I'm also distracted. I'm also walking around in between every move to make sure everything else is okay. It is the first round of the tournament after all. And the time control was game in 40, delay 5. And this is a no engine recap until the very end of this video. So with that being said, let's hop right in. I sit with the good old trusty e4. We both develop our knights and we get the Italian game, the Gilco piano. And against this setup, I like to go c3 and d4, gambiting a pawn. We trade in the center, so for a short bit, I have two unopposed center pawns. But black can go check like Jason did in the game, and white can block with their knight on either c3 or d2 or play bishop d2. Everything is okay for white and black. It's just an equal position here. But I play knight bd2, and this allows him to play to take the pawn on e4. If he does, I'm going to gain time by playing d5, and this is I reached this position a decent amount of times, but instead my opponent actually just castled. He's like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to take this pawn. I'm going to castle first and then take it later. But now I can still play d5. One of the key ideas for black is to play d5 themselves to break open the position and be comfortable. But instead, I play d5, and now I'm attacking the knight, so he doesn't have time to take this pawn anymore. So after he moves back, now I push my other pawn. Wait. Yeah, if I push my other pawn now, he could just take. That's not good at all. So I castled. And now I played c6, and it took me a second to decide what I wanted to do. If I play a3, I do have to consider what happens if he takes my center pawn. After I take his bishop, he takes my bishop, and I take back. This is still looking pretty good, although I do lose this pawn, but I definitely have compensation, even though he's up a pawn, because he's still not completely developed. Still not completely developed, and So this could be okay for me, although I probably don't want to play like this. I also have to consider, what if he just, after a3, what if he just goes back? Oh, no. After a3, most likely what I was calculating was takes, and if knight takes to defend the e4 pawn, then he can take. So this pawn is hanging now. So I didn't really like that, although it might be okay for white. So what I ended up deciding to do is just to play d6, giving away my d pawn, because now I could play e5 and it's a fork defended by my knight. So a nice little tactical defense with the move pawn to d6, and then he plays knight g6. So now if I play a3, now he can take the pawn because e5 is guarded by both his knight and his bishop now. So I play e5 to solidify my d6 pawn, and spoiler alert, his bishop and rook and queenside rook never move for the entire game. He plays down 2 pieces for the entire game. So even if I lose one of these pawns or 2 of these pawns, I'm still going to be fine. And at this point, I believe I spent probably 12 minutes on this move e5, even though it does seem pretty natural. To play this move e5 to solidify my own pawn. I really want to be sure what happens after he plays knight g4. After he plays knight g4, this pawn is being attacked twice, and if I lose my e5 pawn, then my d6 pawn is going to be weak. So is my center a strength, restricting his position, or is it a weakness? And I was stuck evaluating this for a long time. And my conclusion was, I think I can lose this pawn because this deep pawn never dies, and I'm able to finish development with a lot of activity. For example, I'm after knight g4, and this happened in the game, I'm going to play knight e4. And what I was calculating is, okay, well, if he decides to take my pawn, I'm going to take, he's going to take, and then I'm going to go bishop g5, defended by my knight. And, he can't play f6 because of the pin. And if he doesn't move like queen e8, then, this bishop is hanging. So I have to be weary of that. I could just go bishop b3. which seems fine enough for now. And I was trying to evaluate this position, and I couldn't see a clear, I couldn't see a clear knockout. However, I am just going to try to play queen h5, maybe f4 at some moment, and maybe even sacrifice a knight on f6 to open up his king. I'm not sure. Like for example, let's say he wastes a move. Like he's not. He's going to try to play bishop a6, for example. I want to play queen h5. If he goes bishop a6, and then I can probably go check. And after takes, I'm threatening to go here and here. I'm not really sure if there's anything for you to actually do about this. Like, can you even do anything about it? I don't think you can. I think white is just winning here. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. No, it looks good. And if we did a move like, queen b6, then his bishop on b4 is going to get trapped. For example, a3, well, then bishop a5, then b4. But bishop c5 is kind of interesting because now if b4, then bishop d4, attacking my rook. So I could also just take the bishop here and then play b4. Oh, but then my bishop hangs. And then actually in a3, black could take my bishop now. So I do have to be a bit careful here. So maybe after if queen a5 or queen b6 was played, I might just have to firstly retreat. Could be the best option for now. And then maybe play queen h5. I still have knight f6 ideas. So it's not over. It's definitely not over. So I spent, 12 minutes on this move e5, and then he played h6, not taking my pawn, but now he's preventing bishop g5. And I'm like, I'm totally okay with this. I was okay with sacrificing pawn, but now you're telling me I have this big center and I'm not sacrificing pawn? This is also just fine for me. I play a3, he goes back. I play b4, he goes back. Now I develop my bishop, guarding my pawn, and now h6, I'm threatening to trap the knight with this move h3. h3 traps the black knight, and there's nothing black can do except for playing h5, allowing the knight to retreat back to h6. What's really interesting now is that pawns can't move backwards, so I do wonder if the best move is to go back to c1, bishop b2, bishop z1 to go bishop g5, and like I do wonder if I should have played this. It would have been really interesting, but I didn't. I just played h3, which I thought was very principled, because after he moves back, I played knight fg5. So I'm going forward in the position, eyeing f7. Right now, it's guarded really well, but I'm also just eyeing this h5 pawn. Well, how is he going to defend it? Well, he plays knight f4, which I don't think is very good. You could also play h4, pawn to h4. However, it doesn't really solve your problems, although it might be the best bet. Like for example, I would probably consider playing queen h5 here, and now this knight is hanging because of the bishop pinned to the pawn. Bishop pinning the pawn, and of course if you play knight f4, then I can just take the pawn, and I'm doing quite well here. And I'm actually threatening to go knight f6 check, forcing away the defense of the knight on h6. So there's a lot of tactics here in this position. So I played knight g5, he plays knight f4, I just played g3. I don't know what was the point of knight f4. The position is losing, so I'm not really blaming him for making a bad move. I guess he's rerouting his knight to e6 on purpose, so because I know the h3 pawn is guarded by my knight, so wasn't really sure what he was thinking when he was first playing it, but makes a lot of sense that he wants to reroute his knight to e6 where it might be better placed. But the real issue in this position for him is that he has two pieces that are not participating in the defense or the attack. He plays knight e6, I take the pawn on h5, and now he plays queen e8, and his idea is to play f6 or f5 and try to trade queens here. But here is too little, too late here. I played knight f6 check, sacrificing my knight, and here at first I thought, oh, maybe I should take this, take this queen or take this knight, but then he could take with the pawn, And actually, my bishop doesn't have scope on the g7 square. So actually, after he takes on f6, I take back with my e pawn. So then now, no matter what he does, he can't avoid checkmate. For example, if you take, I just take, and he resigned. So this actually happened in the game. And what else are you supposed to do? If you move this knight anywhere, it's just mate on h7. So simply game over here. I thought, like, after bishop b2, you know, I thought he might, after h5 and h3, like, I thought here he might try a5 to try to trade off his rook on a8 for my rook on a1. Like, I actually thought this was an interesting try. Of course, I would just take, and after takes, he could trade. But he's still down a pawn. But I thought that might be his best bet. Considering his bishop is still many moves away from moving is actually insane. He just doesn't have any time in this position to complete development. So anyways, so that was the game. I think my opponent played pretty poorly. He started off, you know, in a bad opening, and it's really hard to recover. You know, I would say the opening was just straight up winning for me. So I think, actually, in hindsight, I don't think there was a way for him to recover. So start off with a win. I do not play round 2 and round 3. However, there was an odd number of people for round 4, so I play one more game. And starting off pretty okay. So I'm going to hit the game review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.